Oh god, is it really time for me to make a video again? It can't be. No way. No, I'm not ready yet. Oh, wait, I have gotten a script, and I already have all of the footage, and the only thing I need to do is do the commentary and edit it, which are the easiest parts. Wow, I am really bad at YouTube. This is easy. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights? Alright. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights is one of those games that was made in the early 2000s that nobody really cares about because it came out in an early generation console and was made by a small external company that has quality, but it got outdated so quickly that few people got to experience how it was meant to be. People's standards of video games simply moved on quickly during these times, and a lot of gems were underrated as a result. Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights just happens to come out around this time, which isn't bad, but it just means that a lot of people see the game as a lot worse than it actually is. Night of 100 Frights' story is built off of Holly, Daphne's friend, calling the Scooby Gang in to help solve the mystery of her missing uncle, the famous inventor Alexander Graham. He was about to unveil a new secret invention before he disappeared without a trace. Nobody else will help her, because his mansion is newly haunted by hundreds of copies of 20 famous Scooby-Doo monsters, as well as the Mastermind. Not wanting to involve Scooby and Shaggy wait outside. Shaggy, however, immediately fails to not do anything, and gets lured into a trap by a box of Scooby snacks. You soon learn that the Mastermind told the gang that he was the one who kidnapped Alexander Graham, pulled the lever, and quote-unquote whisked away the rest of them. In terms of gameplay, 100 Frights is a 3D platformer Metroidvania and somewhat a collectathon. The main premise of 100 Frights is platforming and evading enemies. Evading enemies. Evading enemies. Evading enemies. The main premise of 100 Frights is platforming and evading enemies to obtain power-ups that allow you to traverse new areas of levels, while also collecting enough Scooby snacks to open snack gates to unlock new levels to progress. Sometimes Shaggy gets thrown in to get thrown up, or throw Scooby up to give the levels a tiny bit more personality, but for the most part it's just Scooby-Doo platforming. The main goal is to save the rest of the gang, unmask the Mastermind, and find Alexander Graham. The platforming is pretty straightforward and, in most instances, pretty fun. In most instances. The problem, however, is that most of the game, you're cruising through the game collecting Scooby snacks, then, randomly, a section of the game feels insanely difficult. There are a few levels that could benefit from a hidden checkpoint in the middle, and many feel tedious because of the timing element. A lot of them can be easily completed by not being greedy, but the height of Scooby's jump feels really unnatural. If you aren't holding the run button, you can't make a lot of jumps. The run button is inconsistent as well and causes Scooby to skid if he stops while running, causing the momentum of the game to be a bit janky. Overall, though, the movement feels fluid enough if you get used to it. The main problems with the bad levels are that they completely throw away everything you know about the movement. For instance, Fishy Clues for Scooby-Doo Part 4. All of the level is on conveyors. Why? If you fall, whoops, that's fucking ice physics. What do you mean they use it again, but this time at a 30-degree angle? And this time the ice physics are the level? And don't even get me started on Misbehavin' Kazacaven Part 3. I am launched into a state of pain whenever I hear Misbehaving because of this stage. Misbehaving Part 2 was okay. It wasn't bad, per se. It has a tiny bit of ice physics, but that's fine. It has an okay premise. You go on the top part, You bust down the icicles and then you use them to platform. It's alright. I mean, other levels have worse premises. Misbehave in Part 1 just serves as a plunger check to make sure you get the plungers. It also is just a big open area that has ice physics where you go and get keys. Honestly, it's not too bad of a level just because of the ice physics, but it's fine. I wouldn't. It's just forgettable, honestly. But Part 3. Uh, 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 See, the thing about this game is that you could move at your own pace, is that you can go forward whenever you want, so timing elements are kind of alright. You can put them in. Obviously, they're a bit tedious, but they're mainly just there to be difficult and challenging. It's not like they take away too much power from the player to wait or to go whenever they feel like it. And obviously, for most things, you just go back to the jump you missed. It's not that difficult. You don't have to wait 30 minutes. It's not a large area where you have 5 minutes to just think about your actions. Misbehavin' Cause a Cave in Part 3 is an auto-scroller, where the platforms underneath you disappear, and the ground beneath you is a one-shot kill. Why? I'm not saying that these elements individually would make for a bad level. I actually would have liked to have seen a level that was an auto-scroller other than this one, because this was honestly done in the worst possible way. I mean, come on. Really? You're basically parkouring on boats that sink if you touch them for a little bit. I mean, unique enough, I guess? Don't know why you use them so many times. Not a big fan, but, you know, it's fine. And usually they use these boats on top of water to enforce a small line of jumps that you have to do in quick succession to avoid just sitting there. It's basically just a bit of pressure so that you can make jumps. And, you know, that just allows the game to be a bit more fun. But when, instead of having that pressure, you only have these boats between a few platforms where the water is slowly rising, it kind of makes it bad, because if you jump on a boat too early, you either have to jump back to the original platform and just hope it regenerates in time, or you have to go forward and realize that you didn't have enough time to make that jump, and now you're just gonna sit there and die because you just decided to go a bit too early, and there's no way of stopping that. I'm sorry. Oh, did you want to survive? Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't invent the umbrella yet. It's coming, like, 2 zones later. I don't care about your feelings. I just want to... Oh yeah, the other parts of the game. Yeah, they're all pretty fine. I think one of the biggest problems with 100 Frights is how non-linear everything is. It really doesn't seem like a Metroidvania at first, and can feel arbitrary how you're supposed to progress if you haven't been paying attention to the different paths there are and why you couldn't take them. As such, anybody who isn't really paying attention or not putting a lot of thought into their gameplay will likely get stuck and have to traverse all possible paths. In a lot of the playthroughs I watched, they all suffered this issue. Knowing the pathing of the game makes it a whole lot better, but that is way too much effort to put into a 19-year-old Scooby-Doo game. A large strong suit of this game is its soundtrack, which always feels fitting and entertaining and can lift the gameplay if it gets too tedious. The normal level themes are alright and are nice as background, which is why they've been in the background of this video. Why else would I put them in there? They genuinely feel as if they could be put in an episode of the show and fit. Boss themes are also pretty themed, but with added vocals, which are kinda cringe, but what did you expect from a 19-year-old Scooby-Doo game? They do make up for it by the fact that they are absolute fucking bangers, though. It is a crime against humanity that these have so-so vocals and were put in a Scooby-Doo game 19 years ago.
Have no doubt, I'm in control. You may think chasing ghosts is thrilling. You need to know who's running the show.
Each level is composed of a definite amount of Scooby snacks, and those levels are grouped into stages. The map shows you how many Scooby snacks are in each stage. This is fine for most stages, but some levels have really hidden stuff, and not knowing what level missing snacks are in makes it really difficult to 100% some stages, and by extension, the game. For instance, why the fuck are there snack boxes hitting in these fucking washing machines? Especially when there's a moving washing machine in the middle that hurts you when you touch it? Luckily, traversing the map is nice because there are warp gates in almost every stage, with 2 in some to make up for a close one not having one. The good part about this is that some snacks are trapped behind power-up checks to encourage backtracking, which is sometimes required due to some pretty tight snack gate requirements. Or, alternatively, you could just skip 2 major snack gates easily. Yep, that's right, it's the section where I document all the cool glitches, like how the devs forgot that you shouldn't be able to move after initiating a ground pound, so you can use it to skip one of the hardest levels in the game. This wall doesn't exist if you're on this chandelier. Alright. This gate lets you through if you run into it right. The bubble form of the sea creature is huge and can push you off narrow walkways, which, good news, is one of the few places you can find them. I'm really salty about this. I mean, it's funny though, so it gets past for me. These 2 warp gates were marked with the same number, so you don't have to use the snack gate right next to it. This gate you can just ground pound through, so I don't know why there's a snack gate into this level. Also, entering this level this way kills you, so you enter 3 tags no matter what. Why shouldn't you be able to fall into the same hole Shaggy does right off the bat? You can't use the Black Knight armor set to hide from enemies when you're on boss levels? Is this really what I've become? Getting way too invested in a game 19 years old just because it was part of my childhood? Sure, it's fun to play in 100%, but it definitely doesn't warrant the time I've put into it. I love this game, I truly do. It was the first ever game to use a laugh track, and that really doesn't help my point, does it? Can I start over? My point is, this is a game that I really enjoyed, and I would really love it if this game got a remake. But this game isn't as good as I thought it was. Well, something from my childhood isn't as good as I remember? If only there was a commonplace phrase or something to describe that phenomenon. I'd recommend this game if you have it lying around and a system to play it on, but don't buy a mediocre Scooby game that's older than you are. That's it. I can't spend any more time on this game. I've 100%ed it twice, gotten into 99% many times, and beaten it normally more times than I can remember. I'm addicted, and I just made a 3-page essay on it to prove it. I need to get this thing out of my house before it takes any more time away from me. But how can I dispose of it in a way that doesn't subject anybody else to this fate?
Oh, cool, Scooby, the night of 100 Frights!